Federal Treasurer gave us a budget update last month, announcing deficits as far as the eye can see, but he did it with a smile. And then he told Aussies battling cost of living pressures to be optimistic about the future, while providing very little reason for optimism. That encouragement was actually pretty cruel if forecasting by the coalition is correct, that 10,000 businesses are right now at risk of bankruptcy. Meanwhile, the country's top economists are certainly not optimistic. They've warned that neither Albanese nor Dutton have tangible plans to address the nation's dire economic situation. Among those is independent economist Chris Richardson, who said, and I quote, "We'll yet again in Australia have a Seinfeld election about nothing." Joining me now is LNP Senator James McGrath. James, I bet Chalmers feels a little bit silly after that tone-deaf speech, and he should, shouldn't he?
He should feel really silly. But remember, we've got a treasurer of this country who did his PhD in Paul Keating, who was chief of staff to Wayne Swan, who doesn't understand we're in the midst of a cost of living crisis at the moment. It's hitting everybody. So it's no wonder we're going to see 10,000 small businesses hit the wall this year. And they're going to hit the wall because of Labor's policies and because we've got a treasurer who does not understand what is happening out there in voterland.
I want to ask you about Victorian police. There's been reports that female police officers, about 350 of them on the front line, small in stature, many of them quite petite. They've been working for more than a year without new integrated load-bearing vests that are supposed to protect them from things like stabbing attacks, sharp weapons, firearms. What's going on with our police force that we're not looking after our officers?
This is Labor incompetence. Labor are terrible at looking after victims of crime, and they're terrible at looking after the men and women who are on the front line of policing. So what else would you expect from Labor? So here in Queensland, the new police minister has Dan Purdy, a former serving police officer, someone who's actually served with Peter Dutton, has said, this is not good enough, we're going to fix it. That's what you need to do. You need to get coalition governments in.
Well, I think that might fix a few things, actually, but of course you'd say that. Hey, let's talk about Sydney, where private school fees are just out of control. Some of the most exclusive private schools now are charging more than $50,000 a year in fees. That represents a 7% rise. Did you ever imagine a day in this country where private school fees, and I'm all for private schools, my kids went to private schools, but 50 grand?
That's a huge amount of money, and it takes away choice of parents who they're the ones who should decide where their kids go to, whether state schools or private schools. I went to state schools, a lot of them, Innisfail, Toowoomba, Nambour, Bly, but that's something my parents decided. But 50 grand, you know what? A cost of living crisis. It is impacting everybody across Australia, especially parents in Sydney who want to send their kids to a private school.
Yeah. All right, one more topic I want to ask you about, and this one I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Many people now are calling for the abolition of 5-cent coins. Armaguard Chief Executive Matt Caulfield, whose company is responsible for the storage and transport of about 90% of Australia's cash, wants to kill off coins, and millions of them just sit unused, particularly the 5-cent piece, and apparently that's costing the country the most. It begs the question then, should we get rid of 5-cent coins? Now, James, I've got to be honest, I'm all for we've got to keep cash. We've got to keep it in circulation. But 5-cent coins, when was the last time you used one of those in a meaningful way?
I can't actually remember. And I've got my wallet here, and it's got no coins in it. It's got like a $10 note, $5 note. It comes to choice, though. If people still want to have that ability to use 5-cent coins, but also, with all due respect to the fella from Armaguard, that's your job, mate, to deliver the money. That's what you get paid to do. It's not like 5-cent coins have gained a lot of weight since decimal currency was brought in. They've always weighed the same. Let's let people use them or not use them. Let the mob decide.
I guess you've got to be a little bit sympathetic to Armaguard, though, because it does cost them to transport money. And if they're transporting money that typically people aren't using, that is an impost on them.
But they get paid to do it. That's their job.
Then they're just going to pass on the cost to all of us, aren't they?
It's like a fisherman complaining about the fish they're catching and there's too many fish. So, look, I've got a little bit of sympathy, but hang on, that's our currency. So if people want to use it, then Armaguard, who are getting paid to transport it, should transport it.
Well, here's my takeaway from this, and here's a hot tip for viewers. I would start putting aside my 5-cent coins, because if they get rid of them 20, 25 years from now, they might actually be worth a bit more than 5 cents. That's the hot tip for 2025. James McGrath, thanks for joining me tonight.